Hey guys, how are you all? Hope so you all are doing well. So let's start the story without any further conversation. Jimin sit on the couch doing his assignment. Mrs. Park, what are you doing? Jimin, I am doing assignment, mom. Mrs. Park, eat something. Yes, son, eat something. Jimin, I will later, ma. Mrs. Park, you don't take care of yourself, Jimin. Jimin, you think this, mom, but it's nothing like that. This was the last one, and I tell you. Jimin, just let my job start. After that, we shift in another house. Mrs. Park sighed. Mrs. Park, I said to you many times, Jimin, don't talk like this. Jimin, and I said to you many times, Mom, it's okay. Mrs. Park, okay, leave this. Come do the dinner. Jimin nodded. He stand up and Mrs. Kim come. Mrs. Kim, Bora, can you make coffee for me? Mrs. Park, sure. Jimin, why my mom makes such some Mrs. Park, it's okay, Jimin. You go and do dinner. I come in 10 minutes, Jimin. No. First, you do dinner with me, then do something else if it's really needed. She said, someone else, Mrs. Park, Jimin, and go in your room. He make up out and look at her, then run from there. Mrs. I'm sorry, Nana, he's still kid. Mrs. Kim, teach him some also. She said and sit on the couch. She nodded. Mr. Park and Mr. Kim is cousins. They stay in one house. Mr. Park do second. He go abroad with his family. Jimin and Mrs. Park here. Jimin his dad and Mrs. Park is so kind. They all her like a and Jimin see all this. He always said his mom whenever he get a job, they go in their house. He complete his mom every wish. She don't like when someone give her order to do work. Jimin sit Jimin sit in his room. Mrs. Park come with the dinner. Jimin go. I don't do the dinner. Mrs. Park. Jimin son please. Jimin mom. Why you do her work? Mrs. Park. It's okay Jimina. We stay here Jimin. So what? I said to you many times we go in different house. I talk with young dad. He give us. I start the job. After that I pay them slowly. Mrs. Park smiled to listen her son thoughts. Mrs. Park, you do dinner? We talk about this later. Even no, mom, you always do this. You change the topic, Mrs. Park. No, I don't. We talk about this. She said and started to Jimin who make a big pout looking so cute. She is so happy as her son is going to start his job from tomorrow and she know now Jimin don't listen her anymore. He go in another. The whole living room the whole living room is when a man enter in the room and signed to see him. You and your Yoongi. The man looked at him with his eyes. Yoongi, how he think to me, Jin. You already him, Yoongi. Now leave him. Yoongi look at him. Yoongi, he mean Yoongi. He have to. Jin, he's you him. Yoongi, he signed to see him. Sit and listen me. The man looked at him and sit on the couch. Jin, the new entrance is coming tomorrow. Who guide them? Yoongi said Sobin Jin. Some are toppers also. Even mostly is toppers Yoongi. I just don't want any in my office and next do whatever you want. And if someone think to me, tell me what I do. He said and go in his Jimin, I am ready, mom. Jimin is totally ready to going. He is looking so cute. He wear and the pink color. Mrs. Park smiled to see him. Mr. Park, take care and call me time to time. Also, Jimin, mom, don't be for me and don't do work. Okay, Mrs. Park. Okay, okay, I don't. Jimin smile and on her cheeks. Jimin, now I am going. I do breakfast. There you do breakfast. Bye from the room. Jimin, please help my son. This is his first day. She signed to see the picture of her and Jimin, then go out from the room. Mrs. Park is always like this. She is so careful for Jimin as Jimin is the only one for him she is. Otherwise, Mr. Park never come back and don't even ask how who they are, what they are doing. He don't even ask about Jimin, even Jimin is his son. Yoongi come office and he see the younger sit on the couch, of course waiting for him. He stop and they all stand up to see Yoongi and bow at him. Yoongi, you all are new here. His voice is so they all looking down and nodded. Yoongi speaks something but a boy come while running. Jimin, hey wait, I am coming. Yoongi look at him. Yoongi, huh? Huh, now you can start to speak. He said, Yoongi, what? Now speak. Our boss makes rule. He said, and Yoongi raised his eyebrow. Jimin, yeah, I heard he is so well. It's really true or not? Tell me. He think he is manager or the boy who guide them. He don't see your picture, that's why. Yoongi didn't say anything and go Jimin make a pout. Jimin, that much he think and the boy come boy, you know him? Jimin, no, I don't. He stand here. He must be manager here. Boy, no, he is not. Subin, hello everyone, I am Subin here manager. He said and they all stand up. Yoongi, Jimin, if he is manager, who is he? Maybe some employer. He think and start to hear to Subin who is telling them the rules and their work. Subin, one thing I want everything perfect, not even a small. Now you understand. They all nodded and Subin guided them and start their work. Subin knock on the door. Yoongi come in. Subin come and bow at him. Yoongi look at him. Subin, sir, I do what you said here. Is the list you check once? He said and gave the list to Yoongi. List to Yoongi, sorry. Yoongi, who is pink hair boy? Subin, he is Park Jim in his university. Is his university topper. Bow at him and go. Yoongi turned his chair and started to think about Park Jimin. 10 minutes passed. The door knocked. Yoongi, come in. Jimin entered in the room. Jimin, your coffee, sir. His voice is low as he heard so many things about the CEO. Yoongi turned and see him. Jimin eyes widened. Jimin, you the mug of coffee. I clean this. Yoongi, leave this, okay? When Yoongi ask this from someone, well, this is new for him also. Jimin, yes, I am fine. You are CEO here. He asked and looked at Yoongi, who folded his hand. Yoongi, no one to talk in front of me, and you are asking me, Jimin. I don't know. You are CEO, Yoongi. Now you know, and what you said, CEO, is so Jimin sweet as sugar. Said this, Jimin. I do. I do. I think you don't remember. Yoongi raised his eyebrow and stopped smiling. Yoongi, go and make me coffee, said Subin. Sent me. He said and sit on the chair. Jimin, why you call me? He said and Yoongi looked at him. Jimin, who take a step back with the waist and the waist. Jimin look at Yoongi, who's looking at him with his widened eyes. Yoongi, really, huh? It's 20,000. Jimin as well and Jimin, see, sir, you have that much big company. It's okay, just a waste. Yoongi, take the cup and go. Jimin, thank you. He take the cup and turn him with the door. Yoongi signed to see him and then he run from there. Yoongi, he mumbled and started to do his work. He himself don't know why he called Jimin. He don't think much and start to do his work on his laptop. Jimin, come on now, stop laughing. He is talking with his best friend. It's lunch break. He come out from the building chair. You really did all this, Jimin. How can you do this, Jimin? I myself don't know how it's happened. And moreover, it says, you see, first he is so, and he also look like I am a small kid. And then the waist, and after that the cup. He start to ask me for my. He have that much big company. Stop when he turn and see Yoongi stand there, fold his hand, and Subin stand behind him, trying his best not to laugh. Jimin, this is all. He's totally opposite. He said and cut the call. Jimin, the weather is so beautiful, sir, is not it? Yoongi, what you are saying, Jimin? I am talking about you. My old boss, I remember Yoongi, but this is your first internship, right? Jimin, but as I know you don't have any brother. Jimin, how you know? I mean, I have Yoongi, really? Jimin, no, yes, no. Yoongi, go. Your lunch break is over, he said, and Jimin won from the Yoongi. He is really something. If someone else do this, I am. But why I don't want to say something to him? He is cute, by the way. He think can go to attend the meeting. Hmm. Jimin, come home. Mrs. Park, you come, son. Mrs. Park, come with the water. Jimin, thanks, mom. Mrs. Park, how was your day? Jimin, it's good. Mr. Kim, come. They all greeted Mr. Kim, tomorrow you all be ready. We have to go on dinner at my business partner house, sister. You and Jimin also, Jimin. I have to go office. Mrs. Park, we get ready. Mrs. Park, he said us with so many. Jimin, where you see? Mrs. Park, you just come now. You go and fresh up. I arranged dinner for you. Jimin, we do our dinner in our room. Mrs. Park, okay, you go in your room. Jimin, you promised me to make my favorite dish. You do. Mrs. Park smiled and nodded. Next day, next day in night, Jimin don't go office. He give leave on his second day. He sit on the couch feeling. Hmm. He sit on the couch feeling. Jimin, how much time we stay here, Mrs. Park? Jimin, son, please. Jimin sighed and nodded. And then a man come downstairs. They all stand up to see him. Jimin is busy in watching reels, so he don't. Hmm. Jimin, sir? He is so shocked, Mrs. Park. What? Jimin, he is CEO of meat industry where I am doing job. He said in low voice. Mrs. Park, oh, okay. Yoongi, sit, he said, and they all sit. Jimin sit there with his head down. Mr. Kim, how he is in job, he said. Jan. Jimin looked at him. Yoongi, it's just his first day, and today he don't come. Now, Mrs. Park, it's me who said Jim don't go. Jimin, mom. Mrs. Park, what mom? Yoongi, you are his mother. Mrs. Park nodded. Yoongi, my mother also are always me, even in front of my business partner also. Mrs. Park, mother is always mother is always like this. Jimin smiled to see her. Mrs. Min, someone is talking about me. Mrs. Min, oh son, there is no need for this. Jimin smiled to see her and sit. Yoongi leave his place and give to his mother. He stand on the side. Jimin is so impressed by his action. Mrs. Min, I most of the time sleep early, but today I don't sleep, so I come out. You are so cute, son. By the way, what's your name? Mr. and Mrs. Kim look at each other. Hmm. Thus, someone for Yoongi. She said, and Yoongi asked, why don't Yoongi, mom? You go and take rest, Mrs. Min Wyson. Yoongi, because you need rest, Jimin, sir. Is still, he asked, can Yoongi give him? Mrs. Min, stop looking at him, Jimin. You are not my boss here. Mrs. Park signed to see Jimin. Mrs. Min, you come here, sit, son, sit with me. Jimin looked at Mrs. Park, who just nodded. But she always pretend like he's Jimin giggle mom, Yoongi mom. He's employed in my company. Mrs. Win, really then son, I am giving you job from now. Jimin, tell me what I do for you, auntie. Mrs. Win, so find someone good for him. Jimin, this is a little bit what I do for you. Mrs. Park, good, my son. Miss Park, your son. Dinner and then talk. Mrs. Min, you are hungry, son, or you talk with me? Jimin, no, no, I talk with you. Yoongi, mom. Mrs. Min, he is not your. You are for him if you don't eat, she said, and make everyone shocked. Mrs. Min, Jimin, son, come, we do dinner together. She hold Jimin's hand and take him. Jimin, I'm sorry, Miss Park. My mom is just like this. Mrs. Park, it's okay, son. Hmm. They go. Mrs. Park, what's all happening? We think to do the dinner and then do Yunjin with him. Mr. Kim, the mom is leave her. You just focus on Yoongi. See, he feel from Jim and Mrs. Kim. Do something fast, Mr. Kim. I will, and then they also go for the dinner. Next day, Jimin, come and knock on the door. Yoongi come in. Jimin enter in the room. Jimin, good morning, sir. Yoongi, you are here. Jimin, I am here to tell you something. You don't think I took leave? Yoongi, what you think I am? I know everything what's happening in my office. Jimin, why you are me? He said with the pout. Yoongi found him so cute, but why not? Hmm. One a minute. ए यार हो जाए ठीक है हाँ okay so I start the voiceover. I am feeling sleepy. Your mom said me to find someone. You tell me what you want, Yoongi. What? No way. You just focus on your work, Jimin. But sir, from here, Jimin, sir, water, Yoongi. I said go. Glass fall from his hand because of the sudden. Jimin eyes more widen, and Jimin run from here. He called at receptionist Yoongi. Send someone in my office and set them do cleaning. He cut the call and he don't have coffee. Also, Jimin's Yoongi san Yoongi. He started to do his work, but a smile appeared on his face lightly. Hmm. Yoongi come out from his office. He is about to go home. It's almost 9 p.m. He sees Jimin sit on the bench. Yoongi, what he is doing here at this time? He stopped the car in front of him. Jimin see him and he roll his eyes. Yoongi, how can he do this? I am his boss. Jimin, thank you. I don't know. Now I am going. Yoongi, where? Jimin, to find another bus. Yoongi, sit in the car. Jimin, no. Yoongi, do as I said. His voice become Jimin gulped to see him, and he sit in the car. Yoongi, now tell me why you sit here. Jimin, I said nah. I am waiting for bus. Yoongi, and who said you find bus here at this time? Jimin, I don't know anything. Come to pick me. Mom sent him. Yoongi, and now why don't he come? Jimin, I called mom and asked her. She said she go with Uncle Kim and auntie sent her the other somewhere. Yoongi, how can they do this? He think. Yoongi, give me your house address. I drop you. Jimin, Annie, it's okay. Yoongi, give me your house address. Jimin, okay. Jimin, okay. Jimin, my dad is when I am 2 years old. Do he take it and he go out of country? He have kids and happy there. Yoongi heard. He stopped the car and looked at Jimin. Yoongi, what? Jimin, can you start the car, Mr. Min? Yoongi, start the car. Yoongi in mind. Why you ask him? Yoongi, you never talk with anyone or anything else. Hmm. Yoongi come in. Yoongi come in office next day. Yoongi, he must be what I did in last night. It's not a small thing, by the way. He is thinking, and then his eyes widen when he see Jimin is coming while running and she with him. Jimin about to when Yoongi okay movie. Yoongi hold him. Jimin closes his eyes. He don't feel any time. It's almost 9:30. Yoongi, it's 8:30. Jimin, oh, how can I forget my alarm? It's taking his last. Hi, it's he said and started laughing nervously. Yoongi signed to see him. Jimin, so it's mean I am on time. I have work, sir. See you soon. He said and once again run. Yoongi, wow, I think it's But now look at him. Jimin smiled to see. He smiled to see Jimin. He don't know. Yoongi sit on. Yoongi sit on the dinner dining table. Some more time passes. Start to Jimin. He know this as the way. Jimin giggle. He always stay happy. Even he have so much inside him. Still he is thinking this when Mrs. Min speak. Mrs. Min, I also like him so much. Jimin, huh? Whom? Mrs. Min, Jimin, Yoongi. What are you saying? Hmm. And someone else, what you do, huh, Yoongi, huh? No way, mom, don't even think about this. Mrs. Min, then him and make him my son. Yoongi, what you think? He said yes, Mrs. Min, and why he said no? Yoongi, because I am. Mrs. Min, it's not nothing, son. You try once, Yoongi. Hmm. And Yoongi is walking in the room. He have to Jimin. He don't know what he is doing. Jimin enter in the cabin. Jimin, yes sir, you call me. Yoongi, yeah. Jimin, yes, tell me sir. Yoongi, come sit. Jimin, there is something really important. You are offering me to sit. Sir, you are offering me to sit. He said and sit on the chair. Jimin opened the and the employees and the employees seats is not. Can you change your with my? He said, being excited, but then make up out when Yoongi don't give him any answer. Yoongi, I want to talk with you in something very important. Jimin, yeah, I am listening. He said and folded his hand. Yoongi, Jimin, I know I am, and sometimes I don't think about others. Jimin, I want to with you. He said, and everywhere is silence. Jimin is watching him with his shocked eyes. And then small Jimin, sir, if you ask like this, he will surely Yoongi. He who? Jimin, you are doing rehearsal, right? You have to your Yoongi. What I do with him? He won't. Now Jimin is watching you with his innocent face. Yoongi, go from here. Is laughing. Jin is laughing, and Yoongi is watching him with Jin. Oh my, King Min Sugar is in. Yoongi, done now. Tell me what I do, Jin. He seems to be so interesting as you are telling me about him, Yoongi. Jin, I am asking you something. Jin, arrange for him and him there. If he said yes, then be happy, and if he said no, then take the tissues with you. Is waiting for me. He said, and he said, and go, Yoongi, sign and sit on the bed. Yoongi, what I do? I don't know. He is thinking, and the door opened. Jimin enter in the room. Yoongi asked, why don't you say him? Jimin, sir, Yoongi, you are here. Jimin, how? Jimin, your mom called me. She said she wanted to talk with me. Now she said I call you. Like the room, Jimin, so much. Much now come. If I something you again, Yoongi, no, I don't. Jimin, so you want me to something, Yoongi? You can if you want, Jimin. No, I don't. As I am good boy, I know the things is. He said, Jan, Jimin. He said, Jan, but his hand the waist once again. Yoongi stand there. He smiled to see him. Yoongi, huh? By himself. Yoongi, oh really, huh? He have, I don't know. He went to him and Jimin, Yoongi, don't do this. Jimin, what, sir? I don't know how it's happened. I promise. I promise. I just make my home and make my mom happy. After that, I complete you. Yoongi, why don't you complete in another way? Shocked eyes, Jimin, sir. Yoongi, in morning you also run. Now you don't. I don't. You know what you did with me. How can you? My heart. How can you, my heart, like this, huh, Jimin? I become behind you. See, I see you everywhere. This is what I want, Jimin. Huh, Yoongi? Well, Will you be Min Jimin? He asked, and Jimin don't know. He becomes so, and he, of course, he said no to him. Why said no to him? Hmm. Yoongi, it's okay. Jimin, you don't also right? Yoongi chuckle. Yoongi, the whole office is yours. Jimin looking down. He is feeling. Jimin, so I take this as yes. Jimin looking at him and started. Jimin, I think I'll tell you. Yoongi, hey, listen. But Jimin run. Yoongi smiled to see. He know Jimin is also angry. Jimin, I am so happy. Jimin, Yoongi, I'm so happy. Jimin. Hmm. Yoongi come and Yoongi come office. He come late today and see everyone is in the hallway. Yoongi, what's happening here? He and they all look at him and bow at him. Yoongi says, Jimin, sit there looking down. Maybe also Yoongi, what the is happening here? Jimin didn't look at him. He is no, this is not. Yeah. Hmm. Jimin start to now. Yoongi, Tell me what happened, Jimin. I was youngish. Wait, someone bring water. He said and make Jimin sit on the couch and in front of him and give him water. Jimin takes some sip of water. Yoongi, now tell me what happened. Jimin stays silent. He don't want to tell him. Hmm. Hmm. Call he stop. Yoongi, what she said? Subin she called him and she said she tell you will him. That's why he don't even to stand here. Yoongi Jimin about to go when Yoongi hold his hand. Yoongi go and call her. Subin nodded and run. Jin come. He's shocked as he know Miss Wan is. Any minute she come and see all this Miss Wan. Yeah, she speaks something. Um, on her cheeks she look at Yoongi and the others. She is so shocked. Even everyone here is so shocked to see all this. Yoongi, you and everyone here listen. Jimin is and in some days we get. I don't want someone him. Miss Man, if you want, I don't should right now. Then go from here. Hmm. You all go and do your work and also congrats you see your boss. He said and they all check employ one they look cute together boy too. Yeah right we want party Jin I talk with him and then tell you now you all go and do your work. They all nodded and they go to do their work. Jin and I see become much softer so short in so short time. It's really impressive I think hmm and that is these only 5 minutes voiceover are left. In this is the third last scene. In office, Yoongi sit on the chair and Jimin sit in his. He's continuously from last 15 minutes. Yoongi Mini, it's enough now. Don't Jimin. How can she said this? Yoongi, I am university student. I take the and after that I am here. Yoongi, I will. Well, why are you? Prince Jimin, no, Yoongi. I am not Yoongi. You don't said something like this, Jimin. But Yoongi said, "No, you don't, and you don't also." He said, and Jimin gave him water. Jimin drink some water. Jimin Yoongi yes. Jimin, why you said them? And we get in some Yoongi because it's true. Jimin, it's not Yoongi. Yoongi don't show me. Jimin, I do. Hmm, I do, but my mom don't know, so I don't said anything. Yoongi, what if I said I talked with your mama? Then he said to make Jimin shock. Jimin, what really, Yoongi? That's why I come early late today. And after 1 week is over, he said to make Jimin as virgin. And at the Yoongi, you are happy? Jimin, I am until you don't me. He said, and Jimin chuckled to see him. Yoongi, you know if you because you are Jimin and I don't. Hmm. Okay. Now what I do? He said innocently, Jin, if your is finished, can I come? Young, it's not even start. Employees. Jin, your employees want party, and I said them they do on Saturday. Young, when you said them, then why you are here? Huh? To tell me, Jimin, I also come. Second last scene. Okay, only 3 minutes voiceover are left. Yoongi come and Yoongi and Jimin stand in front of each other. Both are happy. Jimin is feeling and also the is going to be Park Jimin directs Jimin Yoongi when Yoongi directs Park Jimin. I do. He said and Yoongi and Jimin giggle. He said and Jimin shocked. How can he forget? Hmm. Him. Jimin, my mama is here. I start on my forehead. He said and Yoongi chuckled. Yoongi really Jimin nodded and Yoongi on his cheeks. They all start laughing. Mrs. Park, Mrs. Park. I am so happy. Always stay happy, Jimin. We always stay happy, Mrs. Park, Mrs. Min. Oh yeah, friend. I don't tell you as I forget. Hmm. My son do. My son do your packing also, and your bag is in our house, Mrs. Park. No, no, I don't, Jimin. It's my wish, mom. It's your friend wish. Mrs. Park, yes, and we don't listen you. No, Mrs. Park, but this is really needed, Mrs. Park. There is need friend now. I also find a friend. Last scene. Finally. Hmm. Yoongi enter in the room. He sees Jimin stand on the side. He make a pouch. Yoongi went to him and stand beside him. Yoongi, Jimin, what happened? Jimin, Yoongi, see what happened. I just placed my jewelry. And this happened. He said and showed Yoongi the perfume. Yoongi smiled to see him. Last scene and the third last text. So much for all this. You are really a dream, Jimin. Also, I am your dream, Jimin. Not only my to everyone, to your fans also. Yoongi signed to say him and smile. Yoongi, I am not that much good, Jimin. You are now help me. Maybe I can do something with this. He said and make a pouch and start to do something with the perfume, but he can't. Yoongi is watching his pouch. It's almost 3 days. Okay, last scene and the second last text with him and start. Hmm. Is you don't ask me, Yoongi, what you do when you are so beautiful, Jimin. He very funny. I'm sleepy, Yoongi. What? No, Jimin. Good night. He said I'm about to run, but it's impossible. Yoongi make a pout to say him. Oh, Yoongi go at his cuteness. And here is the last scene and the last text. Yoongi, good night. Jimin, good night. Bye. See you soon, Sarange.